Finally, after a week of very thorough testing, we've got our full review of the all-new, highly anticipated Corsair Vengeance i7300 gaming PC. It's got the all-new i7 12700K processor with an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3080 GPU and 32GB of 4800MHz of the all-new DDR5 RAM. We've run the most crucial tests and benchmarks to help you make the best possible decision with your money. If you watch this whole video, you're going to have all the information that you're going to need in order to make the decision on whether this machine is right for you or not. Whether you're using it for gaming or resource-hungry creative applications or just overall productivity, I've pushed this machine to its max to show you what it's really capable of. Now, because this computer is so expensive, please don't just take some of the good things that I say about this computer in the beginning and go off purchasing it right away until you've weighed both the good and the bad that I talk about in the second part of this video. I'll be giving you my take on the design and build quality, the internals, the thermals, fan noise, benchmarks, and overall ease of use. I'm also going to show you the configuration that I recommend if this PC is understandably outside of your budget. Now, if you still have any questions after watching this entire video, just shoot me a comment below, as I usually respond to most of them. And if you publicly subscribe, not only will I respond to your comment, but your comment gets replied to first. Price-wise, this machine is about where I'd expect it to be comparing spec for spec across other similar pre-builts, like the new 12th gen edition of the Origin Genesis, or an Alienware Aurora R13, which I've also done a review for, or this really unique CyberPower Creator PC Ultimate Cube and the HP Omen 45L, both of which I'm about to do reviews for. Another popular pre-built is NZXT, but I didn't add that to this list because they have not yet added 12th gen PCs to their inventory. Now, as far as this design goes, I do like this box form factor, but it doesn't quite grab my heart like the Alienware Aurora R13 did. That one's just more my style, I guess. Although honestly, it is a pretty inefficient use of space. I did love the great customizability of all the RGB zones in the iCue software. It was very easy to tune and add animations. It also has some pretty visually appealing dynamic animations that change based on what game you're playing or even by sounds coming out of your computer. Although the RGB looks pretty nice, I think it was just a little lopsided and could have been balanced a lot better just by adding one little LED strip right here at the bottom. This, in my opinion, would have looked a lot better and just would have helped illuminate some of that dead negative space. This spacing of all the internals, though, gave it a pretty decent amount of breathing room for ventilation and heat dissipation. We'll talk about how that impacted thermals here in a sec. Right here on our Z690 motherboard, we've got our i7 12700K processor, liquid cooled with an all-in-one 240mm CPU cooler. And then over here we have our 32GB of 4800MHz Corsair Dominator Platinum RGB DDR5 RAM. Next to that, we've got our 2.5GB Wi-Fi 6E card with Bluetooth 5. And last but not least, we've got our Founders Edition NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3080 GPU. Let's go ahead and take that out and take a closer look at it. Now, removing this and taking an even closer look at it, I can tell that it's built out of pretty quality materials. It feels pretty solid and heavy. And then beneath that, we've got our 850 watt ATX 80 plus gold power supply. It comes in at 9 inches wide, 17.5 inches deep, and 18.5 inches tall. Now, as far as the ports go, for the ports on the top, we've got one USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A port, one USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type C port, and a headphone and microphone jack. On the back, we've got a PS2 port, 4 USB 2.0 ports, an HDMI and display port on your internal graphics card, 2 USB 3.2 Gen 1 ports, one USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A port, and one USB 3.2 Gen 2 X2 Type C port, an Ethernet jack, your attachments for your Wi-Fi antennas. Then you've got your microphone, your line in and line out, your subwoofer, center speakers, and rear speakers. And then down on the graphics card, 3 display ports and 1 HDMI port. Thermals. So this case is a pretty decent size, and with 6 fans, you would kind of expect it to have some pretty decent temps. Here are the CPU and GPU temperatures we got with each of these games at their highest preset settings in HD. Not too shabby. The ventilation and the amount of fans on this chassis did a pretty good job keeping temps down. The only thing that got a little hot was the VRAM temps. And these were our temps that we got for those same games at 4K. Pretty decent. Honestly, it really didn't get that hot. Now, the fans did a pretty decent job when it came to temperatures, but how loud did they sound? In quiet mode, it was only 42 decibels, and when running a game in performance mode, it only needed to run the fans just slightly harder, giving us only 43 decibels. and then forcing this machine's fans to full speed gave us only 56 decibels. Okay, so the most important part of this review, performance and gaming benchmarks. These were our average FPS results that we got for several games at their highest preset settings in HD. And here are those same games at 1440p, and these were our results with those same maxed out settings but at massive 4K resolutions. These were pretty decent and on par with what I expected, and honestly they performed just as good, if not better on some games, than that Alienware Aurora R13 that I reviewed previously. And that one had a 3090 GPU with an i9 processor. For Geekbench 5, we got a single core score of 1916, a multi-core score of 15586, and a CUDA score of 225,099. Just barely less than that new Alienware we tested. And then with Cinebench R23, we got a single core score of 1887 and a multi-core score of 22,081. And then for those of you that use 3D rendering software or AutoCAD software, our 3D Mark Timespy scores were pretty impressive as well. For 3D Mark, our overall score was 17,502. We got a graphics score of 17,571 and a CPU score of 17,124. All of these just shy of the last computer that we tested, but this machine was almost $1,000 less. And here's a few Puget benchmark tests for all you creatives out there. For DaVinci Resolve, we got 1,547. For Premiere, we got 1,081. For Photoshop, we got 1,297. And After Effects, we got 1,046. Again, just barely shy of the much more expensive last computer that we reviewed. And these were the export render times that we got for those same creative apps. For DaVinci Resolve, a 4K clip took 7.8 minutes. An HD clip took about 2 minutes. For Premiere, a 4K clip took about 2.6 minutes. An HD clip took less than 1 minute. And then for After Effects, a 10-minute clip took only 3 minutes. When testing the SSD, I was a little disappointed considering these numbers were about half of what I just tested on the new Alienware X17 laptop. I would expect drives on next-gen machines to be a bit faster than this. Although there's no fancy overclocking settings within Windows on this machine, there's quite a few options as you can see right here in the BIOS. So my overall top reasons you should not get this computer. Number one is there's no wow factor. The design is decent, but honestly there's nothing that really sets it apart visually from its competition. And I honestly really think they dropped the ball when it came to balancing the internal RGB lighting. A bunch of RGB on the top and nothing on the bottom. It's just not as appealing as it could have been. And number two was the VRAM temps. Just like the Alienware Aurora R13, this machine suffered from higher than desirable VRAM temps, in the upper 90s on some games. And just like the Alienware, this 3080 GPU will most likely benefit from repasting as well. If you want to see my repasting video on the 3090, then click on this video up here. My overall top reasons you should get this computer, number one is the fan noise. These stock fans were quiet even at heavy loads. I honestly don't think it's necessary to upgrade them like I have on other pre-builts. And then number two was the CPU and GPU temps. While the VRAM was a little toasty, the CPU and GPU were kept at pretty comfortable temperatures, even when pushing this machine extremely hard. This will certainly help prolong the life of this machine. And last but certainly not least, number three was performance. I was pretty impressed with this machine. With a 3080 GPU and an i7 CPU, on several games this machine actually beat out a much more expensive and higher spec'd Alienware Aurora R13. I was pretty pleasantly surprised. So do I actually recommend this machine for the price? This computer is on par, if not better than the competition. It was pretty stable despite how hard I pushed it. And if you're on a budget, a 3070 GPU with an i5 processor on this machine is still not a bad purchase, and still a pretty fast computer. Guys, remember every week I do a giveaway that randomly selects someone who's interacted with this channel, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe with notifications turned on, and keep an eye out for that each week, as well as staying up to date with all of my latest gaming PCs. If you're going to be getting this computer, please make sure to use my affiliate links in the description below, as I get a small commission at no cost to you for every single purchase made. Or if you just want to help support this channel and help keep it growing, please consider becoming a channel member by tapping on the join button below. And the Amazon.com e-gift card winner for this week is
Lucas Adrianto.
Thanks for watching, guys. I love you guys. God bless.